Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron. I'm joined today by Hilla. Welcome.
Thank you.
Last time on Binge Talkers, because that's what we decided to call this. We had Hilla's husband, Ofer. We decided to cast him aside, get rid of him, and switch for the superior model. So, thank you for joining us on this fine Friday afternoon, a mere 6 months after the first one of these that we did. So the first thing we have to talk about in order to introduce you to the Binge Watchers community is, what is your favorite TV show of all time?
That's a big question. I'm tempted to say something stupid like Grey's Anatomy, just because it's a show that I've been watching for, 13 years. How long has it been running?
I think it's on season 14 now.
And no matter how bad it gets, I just keep watching it. So that just might be my favorite show. In
Grey's Anatomy, they have killed off most of the cast a few times, right?
The original, a few times. Yeah, the original cast is, I think only 2 members are left from the original cast.
Is that Meredith?
And Alex Karev.
Mm-hmm. Are they the only ones left? Because I know once there was a plane crash.
Right, and can I spoil? I mean, it was
a
long time ago.
Spoilers for Grey's Anatomy. Go ahead.
And there, Meredith's sister died after the crash, and another doctor, Dr. Sloan. They both died, but
and McDreamy
died later in the series.
Okay, so there was
very stupid way.
But what were the catastrophic events? There was a plane crash and a hospital fire. There were
so
right?
many. There was a shooting in the hospital.
Okay. Was it like a topical, political type of episode thing that they did?
No, it wasn't really political. It was just because the shooter's wife died in the hospital, so he was looking for revenge. So he just went ahead and shot the entire staff. So yeah, there was that. There were a couple of terrible car accidents. A ferry once drowned or something. I don't even remember. Mm-hmm. Meredith drowned and then came back to life. She gave birth when the electricity went down.
And she wasn't even pregnant. It was just like...
it just popped out of her.
But does it... is it at the point where it still makes sense?
No, it never made sense. I mean, Meredith was close to death numerous times, and it just doesn't make sense that she's still alive. But the show is fun, and it's addictive. You just keep watching it.
So it's interesting. I think we talked about this on the last one as well. But my wife is a nurse, and her favorite shows, or her favorite kind of area of interest is all things medical. I would walk in on her just watching surgeries on YouTube. So she watches a lot of medical shows. Grey's Anatomy being a prominent one of these. And she says that it's the most medically accurate show out of most of them. And the least accurate is House MD.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. House, I can see why. House is a bit out there. I don't know as for the accuracy, but they sure make it sound like they know what they're talking about. There's a professional behind the scenes telling them exactly what to do and how things actually work. And then, but what if they had 2 hearts? What if there was a guy that had 2 heads and I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, the issue that I have with shows like Grey's Anatomy is not the drama or the soapy aspects of it, but just how many episodes in a season. It's the same with The Good Wife for me.
Too many.
Yeah. It's 22 episodes per season.
Right, and it's not like they're short. You have to take time to watch the episode.
Yeah, 45 to an hour. It's kind of... it's almost the same as Supernatural for me.
Okay.
I watched a bit of it. I was like, okay,
I get the idea.
I'm kind of into this. This is fun. Season 14, 22 episodes per season. It gets so meta that you have to watch everything to get the jokes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess that if most of the original cast is dead, it's kind of like 24. 24 was the only show that I felt justified the number of episodes until it totally broke down on like the season 9, 12 episode special that they made.
I haven't seen it. So.
You haven't seen any 24?
No.
So 24, like you know the concept,
know,
right?
Yeah.
So 24, I think season 1 is a masterpiece, just like a masterpiece of television. I love everything about it. It really breaks down, I think, as soon as season 3, they start really recycling the ideas. And season 9 that they did, like, it was 12 episodes. Now you have the spinoff, which is 24 Legacy, which is another guy. And I keep hearing, and it's from the same people who make Homeland. So there's... Which
also had a problem with, starting to recycle itself once it got past season 3. I don't know. Yeah,
it's that show it hinges so much on the actress who does Carrie.
Right.
She's incredible, but it's like, okay, you can cry on cue.
We got it.
We get it.
Yeah, I feel like Homeland started to get a little tiring after a couple of seasons. I mean, it just kept trying to reinvent itself with like current events and stuff, but it just doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think I checked out of Homeland in like season 4, but I read that when they did, I don't remember, it's called 24 Live Another Day or something James Bond-esque like that. And when they did that, Kiefer Sutherland said on an interview that they wanted to do it on, like he told the producers, why don't you just do this idea on Homeland? And they were like, no, we want to do it on 24. And I think that's kind of like, that's pretty telling. If you can do it on either show.
That says something about your idea. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that Jack Bauer is one of like the most interesting characters. Once you kind of really think about it, I think I made a video about it, like in the very early days of Binge Watchers, when it wasn't Binge Watchers yet, it was just me kind of like, hi, everybody, let's talk about...
I was a fan back then, even. Just so you know.
It was. I'm not a fan of those videos. All of them are kind of like just slightly out of focus. So you can like the audio is for some reason just louder on one side. It's just like almost intentional, kind of lacking in quality. Okay, so Grey's Anatomy, #1 best show ever.
Not really, just the longest running that I'm still watching. What other shows do I love Broad City.
Okay,
it's crazy. It's funny, and I wish I was their friend. So
I think I've only watched like one episode of it. What's it about? Is it about anything, or is it just kind of
it's about Abby and Alana, who are 2 Jewish girls living in New York and smoking a lot of weed and having crazy adventures in the city.
Well, okay then.
No, it's like the life of 20-somethings, just exaggerated. Drugs and sex and rock and roll.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet. But what have you been watching lately?
Me and my husband, we just started watching Mad Men.
You haven't just started watching it because Ofer was talking about it last time.
Okay, so not just what I mean. We're far behind the rest of the world in watching it. So we're now in season 5, I believe, and we enjoy it a lot.
I'm on season 1 and I'm not loving it.
I can see why. It's kind of, you need to get to know the characters because they're all kind of obnoxious until you get to know their motives and their backstory, but you can't really relate to them until you get farther into the story. Watching
season 1 of Mad Men was kind of like watching fish in an aquarium for me, because it's kind of like, okay, these are interesting characters. Don Draper's interesting, his boss is interesting. Kind of like, okay, sexism in the 50s type thing. interesting, but nothing happens. It's kind of like, okay, they kind of go about their lives, which some shows I feel pull off, but season 1 of Mad Men, I don't know, doesn't really do it for me. But it is one of the shows where the most, like, people keep telling me, okay, you have to push through season 1, but I have trouble with that argument. It's like, invest like 30 hours of your time, and I promise.
And then it gets good.
Yeah, then it gets good.
Yeah, it's just very slow paced. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but you just need to have patience with it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be one of those annoying people who say it pays off.
Yeah.
Going through the first season.
All right. Well, I have a long flight tomorrow, and time on flights doesn't matter. You forfeit your time. Might as well watch a million episodes of Mad Men. Yeah. So I've been watching Mindhunter on Netflix recently. It's a new show that just dropped, I think, last week as of recording this.
Okay.
It's about basically a few FBI agents that are trying to kind of put together the first case about serial killers. They call them sequence killers in the show because I think they're trying to make it very obvious that this is like a new thing that people are just kind of trying to get themselves familiar with. The concept of someone killing in sequence and not just doing like a one-off murder. Okay. So the characters are fictional, but the movement within the FBI is based on like a semi-true story. It's like it's based on some research or whatever. I don't know. I didn't do my research about it, but the show itself in the style, it reminds me of Gone Girl. You watched that movie?
I read the book.
Yeah, so it's very much in the style of the movie. Okay. I don't know if it's I know that David Fincher is involved. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I think he directed like a few of the episodes. I don't know exactly his role. I know people are watching this like, well. But
here are my opinions.
Yeah, no, I mean, it might be lacking on my part, but like a lot of these shows, I don't do like research on who made them or the actors. I just know. I don't know if you've listened or watched Hamilton, the musical.
I haven't. I've heard about it, obviously, but I haven't watched it.
Kind of like Rick and Morty and other things that a lot of people kind of agree on are really good or the best. It gets obnoxious at some point. Yeah. So I really don't want to be one of those people. So I'm just going to say like, yeah, it's good. You should listen to it. So a guy from Hamilton, a guy who does like, I think one of the most popular songs there, Jonathan Groff, he plays the main character.
I know him.
Yeah. So
he was in Glee. That's how I know him.
It's funny because he has a song in Hamilton where that's called I Know Him. So Jonathan Groff, he was in Glee, he was in Hamilton. He's the main character. He plays the main character, the main FBI agent here, Holden. And he is just kind of like this. He's almost robotic, but in a sort of a good way. And kind of like other like things by David Fincher. Fincher. So kind of like other things by the same director or the same producers or whatever, the dialogue between people does not feel real. Like people don't talk like that, but it's amazing. I don't know, really kind of.
I'll have to watch to understand what you're talking about because.
Yeah, but you know, like how when we're talking, you have to sort of think about the next thing that you're going to say, right? You don't immediately come up with like.
Oh, like in Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Where they don't listen to each other. They just shoot the lines.
And then it sounds scripted.
Right.
Like there's no way you could talk like that unless you had a script.
Right.
So it's kind of like that in Mindhunter, but it feels that it has to be that way. Okay. I mean, because the they could talk to, a lot of this show is them interviewing serial killers and trying to understand sequence killers.
Killer, you mean?
Yeah, they're interviewing these like psychopaths and trying to. So this guy cut off his mom's head and had sex with it and stuff like that.
Fun.
And as they're talking very casually about these things, the kind of responses that they have to one another, like he would say. Yeah, he was describing how difficult it was to saw off his mom's head and like stick his dick in it and stuff like that. And they're like, sure. And it's not just the indifference, because these are FBI agents. They've seen some shit. They've become like numb. But it's how quickly they come up with the response that is just like, okay, I don't think people
really talk like that.
People don't talk like that.
They don't think so quickly.
Yeah. But it works. If it
works, then
yeah,
go ahead. But in some shows, it doesn't. I mean, in most cases, it doesn't work. So it's interesting.
It works, I think, mostly in comedy shows, because comedy doesn't have to feel real to be funny,
right.
But drama has to feel real to have like an emotional impact. But I feel that Mindhunter, other than just being like a very aesthetically pleasing show, it somehow pulls it off, and it's like one of the best things I've seen lately. With the other also being a Netflix show, being American Vandal.
Right.
Yeah.
I am yet to watch this one, but I am very curious to see what they did with it.
I just wrote like my review for it, and I just didn't have anything to say, because it's kind of like anything I would say would ruin it. So I think it's going to be like a 2-minute long video of me basically saying like, oh, it's
it's good. Watch
it. Watch it. I'm like avoiding any actual sentences.
Okay. So I'll watch it. I mean.
All right. So what else have you been watching recently?
I just started watching yesterday Big Mouth, because the entire internet is talking about it. So I had to see what
how much of it have you watched?
Is all about. I watched 2 episodes.
Yeah.
At first, I approached it like, okay, this is an educational show. I don't know. Is it for teenagers? I have no idea. I haven't really read about it beforehand.
Yeah.
So I started watching it, and pretty quickly I realized, okay, this is not for teenagers. This is maybe for their parents. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with the animation. I don't know. Maybe it's just my taste, but it's kind of ugly.
Yeah, I mean, so Big Mouth is basically a show about puberty,
right.
And it's a show about kids growing up, and kind of it follows a bunch of kids, I think, in like elementary school or junior high.
No, they're in...
they're like 12.
7th graders? I don't know.
Yeah, they're 12 or 13, so junior high or high school. I don't know how U.S. education system works. So, but anyway, it takes a very exaggerated look at puberty, and it kind of tackles some of the concepts of puberty through like an actual hormone monster or stuff like that. And the animation is very simple, and it's very, very cartoony. So it's, I would say it doesn't look like Rick and Morty or any of those other ones. So when I watched the whole thing, and when I first watched it, I was like, okay, this is another adult animated show capitalizing on how popular BoJack Horseman and Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls are, and like that's all they're doing. I wasn't a big fan of F is for Family, which is like another animated show by Netflix. I didn't watch all of it, but like I didn't love it, the bit of it that I did watch. But Big Mouth, I kind of felt the same after the first 3 episodes. By the end of it, I kind of loved it. By the end of it, it's they get past this initial phase of we're going to say a lot of bad words and we're going to do some disgusting stuff. And then they actually get into some pretty interesting insights about like growing up and puberty and like boys and girls type things. And just John Mulaney, who does the like main kid there. I don't know if you've watched his stand-up.
No.
But it's like it's the same. It's the same kind of humor. And I like he has this show called The Comeback Kid. I think it's also it's really, really good. It's one of my favorite stand-ups. And it's just like the same type of comedy. So
I don't have a problem with the humor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just the animation?
The first episode was not that funny.
Not really.
But then in the second episode, there were a couple of moments where I actually laughed out loud.
Yeah.
It was really funny. And but yeah, the animation kind of like, I don't know, it's not very aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, I'll probably get over it once I see the next couple of episodes. And I also felt like, okay, we're just going to say a ton of bad words now. We're going to be foul-mouthed as we can. And then it got better in the second episode. So I'm going to keep watching it.
Yeah, I mean, they do take it a bit, I don't know if too far, but there's definitely some of it that feels like we're going to show you what we can get away with, which is everything and anything. There's a part where someone does like something really messed up. And then at the end of the episode, they go like, it's a very meta type of show. So they are very aware of being a Netflix show all the time, which sometimes is cute, but other times it's like, okay, we get the joke. So at the end of the episode, they're like sitting as like, was that thing too much? Did we take it too far? And then the other guy says, yeah, that made me uncomfortable. And then they say, well, Netflix insisted on it. And that part I thought was a little too kind of on the nose. I don't know. But all in all, it's really good. And the voice acting is perfect, I think. I noticed that too. I mean, at first it was kind of like weird because these are teenagers and they have a grown-up voice. Yeah. That's kind of weird. But you get used to it and then you're like, okay, this is cool. You'll get to a point where you meet the female hormone monster.
Yeah, it happens in the second episode.
Oh, right. So I think that was kind of like, that was my favorite voice acting ever.
Is it? I think it's Maya Rudolph.
Is it?
Who does her voice? And Maya Rudolph is incredible. I love her so much.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah.
Bubble bath. I'm gonna take a bubble bath.
I feel bad that I said that Grey's Anatomy is my favorite show. I mean,
that is on the internet now forever.
Oh my god.
All right. So what are your top 5?
No, I can't with those questions. I'm afraid to say something stupid and that everyone on the internet would think that I'm into bad television.
Everybody on the internet is super kind.
I know.
And welcoming.
They don't say anything bad about you ever.
Well, I do have to say that the Binge Watchers community is...
no, everyone's very nice.
Like you've been in the comments. It's mostly, unless a video gets more views, like the Doctor Who video.
Right.
So that has a pretty toxic comment section. Because it's like, women are stupid. Women can't be doctors. Do they call it Nurse Who now? Because it's a woman.
Women suck.
Yeah. So other than that one, if you've ever been on the Binge Watchers Discord server, it's like a chat thing. So they'll be nice. Everybody.
Okay, so don't roast me for liking Grey's Anatomy so much.
I mean, when I made my top 5 video, I didn't watch The Wire yet. I also only watched the first season. I will say it does have one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Okay.
The scene where they have a complete conversation saying just the word fuck. And it's not just because like, oh, they're saying fuck, it's funny. It's a brilliant scene.
How come I haven't saw that?
It's in the first season when they were...
Oh, so I must have seen it and I don't remember.
Yeah, so they walk into this this kitchen. They're trying to figure out this murder. And they're just like, they have a complete conversation, McNulty and his partner, just with like motherfucker and fuck, and it's amazing, and it's just, it's incredible.
TV is great, It's sometimes even better than going to the movies. They make a lot of good stuff on TV.
It is always better than going to the movies because you can do it from right there, from the couch.
Yeah. Comfort of your own home.
Yeah, so we'll just say this. If you're going to be talking about spoilers about any of the shows that we talked about, please use spoiler tags in your comments. You can find Binge Watchers on Twitter and on Instagram and on TV Time. Keep binging, and we'll see you next time.